Good evening and welcome back to the Goon Multiplayer Spectacular. Currently, Revenant as the Kiso Minamoto is fighting Scotch as the Fukuhara Taira. Revenant is up 1-0 at the moment, and as this is Scotch DK's elimination round, if he loses this, he is out of the tournament. So, both players are bringing a different army than the previous match. As you can see, Revenant has bought 2 Mounted Samurai as opposed to the previous Mounted Nagis. He's changed out his Foot Samurai for multiple Sword Attendants, and his bombs have been switched out for, well, the extra Mounted Samurai really, since they're slightly more expensive. He's bringing only 2 Bow Levy this time, Naginata Attendants, and of course his Tetsubo Warrior Monk Hero, and he's making an immediate dash for the Sword Dojo and a high push for the Archery Dojo. Over here, we see that Scotch has bought Naginata Warrior Monks, significantly more, a more balanced force than previously. Sword Attendants in the singular, some Naginata Attendants, 2 Sword Attendants, his Naginata Warrior Monk Hero, and 2 Bow Levy. So, a much more balanced force, and the addition of Warrior Monks should help. We're seeing a much more traditional battle between the two forces, as both players are going for their respective buildings, the workshop and the sword dojo, and it looks like Scotch is letting Revenant have the archery dojo uncontested. Be interesting to see how that plays out, considering the archery dojo literally doubles the reload skill of the bow levy, and so makes his bonus effectively 4 bow levy worth of firepower versus the 3 bow levy of firepower that Scotch is bringing. But at the same time, the workshop ups their armor to 3 from 1, and so we may find that Scotch still maintains a slight range advantage. Nevertheless, the range advantage of the Mounted Samurai, where their reload skill will go from 60 to 80, will make them rapid-fire harassment death machines, so that will be very, very dangerous. So, it's a bit unusual to let the center go uncontested like this, but both players are setting up a battle line, it appears, and they're a little bit concerned, I would imagine, from the last fight, where everything was a bit haphazard, that they really don't want to make the same mistakes again. So we've seen their play tighten up, and hopefully it will continue that way. Revenant over here, bringing his Sword Attendants across to get them up on the hill so that he gets the benefit of a downhill charge if he is engaged by Scotch. A very good move to take advantage of their high charge bonus as well as their large melee attack. Downhill charge, the momentum combined with the Banzai, can just deal catastrophic damage to just about anything you care to throw at it. As you can see, the Archery Dojo has been taken and the Bow Levy now has 40 reload skill, but the battle line for Scotch is equally good. He's got a nice setup with his bows well protected, so the cavalry can't really do too much. His general's covered by the Naginata Warrior Monk Hero, and the Sword Attendants are protecting the rear, but just being brought up as to counter any infantry offensive. So both players are basically trying to work out where the flaw in the opponent's plan is. Any central attack from either side at this point in time would be absolute suicide. Both players are set up with the purpose of collapsing on the flanks of any force that hits the center, and they would just eat them piecemeal. It would be very, very powerful to get the charge, and Revenant's in a great spot over here. But while he's maneuvering his forces, Scotch decides that he's going to take advantage of what he has, and is moving forward. Slowly though, I suspect he's only just out of range of these bow levy, but it looks like he's going to move his whole force forward and attempt to skirmish with the bow levy, probably to try to take advantage of the armor and the extra firepower he has available with a superior number of bows. But this is quite unusual. He's bringing his force over to the left here, and what exactly is he doing? It looks like he's going to take shots, and aha, he's decided that he doesn't have the range advantage and instead attacking the sword attendants here, doing good damage to them. They are taking some casualties, and this has forced an immediate response because he simply can't stand here and take these sorts of shots. He's lost very few bow levy because of the extra armor that he has, and so Revenant's forced to attack, and it looks like he's attacking with his forces out of position. So Scotch is ready for this counterattack and is taken that, and we see from the rear here, Mounted Naginata coming out. Now this is a fantastic play, bringing in cavalry from behind. He's really learnt from the lessons of the last battle. And although these Naginata attendants are getting pretty beat up, with his Naginata warrior monks in this central fight here and the sword attendants, it looks like the center line of Revenant is going to collapse. And in fact, we've got a broken unit here. I expect this sword attendant will break shortly, and even though the left flank here is about to collapse, With the center line gone, there really isn't too much they can do. We've got all three of them gone here, so that entire center line's gone. The general's taking hits, and the bow levy don't like it too much. Revenant's forced to deploy his mounted samurai to try to do some damage, putting the vast majority of his fire into bow levy, it looks like, which is an unusual choice, but he's left them too close to sword attendants, and they're going to get tied down and take casualties. This entire left flank has collapsed, and it's looking really, really bad for Revenant right now. He can't get his mounted samurai in a good position, and these mounted Naginata are absolutely cutting through things. Now, the Tetsubos will clean up the mounted Naginata, no worries, but with the general dead of Revenant, and all of his forces basically off the field, there's really not too much left with this. I'm not sure why Scotch has sent in the bow levy, possibly to try to get bodies there to keep pressure on, just to cause a rout based on not having enough friendlies nearby or having enemies on the flank, but we'll see. He hasn't engaged them, so it's an unusual choice. But a mounted samurai unit is shattered. These guys aren't going to hang around for too much longer under the pressure they're taking. If I was Revenant, I would have charged these generals' bodyguard. The mounted samurai have better melee statistics than the general's bodyguard, and really he needed a last-ditch save here. But now, with only the Tetsubo Warrior Monk Hero on the field and the bow levy, there's nothing that I can see that could possibly save Revenant from Scotch. It's a remarkable turnaround for the books. Scotch, with his back to the wall, has nevertheless pulled out an amazing battle, putting pressure on Revenant, making Revenant's game plan change, and you could just see that he just didn't have anything in reserve. He was expecting an attack, and it came from the wrong direction. That cavalry charge from the rear just cleaned him up. He just was not expecting that. And that's why it's always critical to have something, a little bit of something in reserve for defending your general. Because if you lose him, that's it, it's over. You really need some sort of soft target behind him, even if it's just a bow levy whose sole job is just to take a rear charge for the general. It's what it's all about. Scotch is feeding his troops in piecemeal, and it's pretty poor play, really. His army's all over the shop, and he really, it's just the little things, like in your cleanup, in your actions. If this was a tight fight, the fact that his sword attendants are over here, would mean that they're not in the fight. They may as well not be there. These bow levy, the same deal. The Naginata attendants, well, they're not going to do too well against the Tetsubos, but the Tetsubos aren't going to survive against the Warrior Monk Hero, and it's all over. So it was an absolutely fantastic game, and we're back 1-1. Now, I hope you'll come back and join me for the decider, and we get to see where the ScotchDK gets to hang in here and continue in the tournament, or where the Revenant Threshold picks his game back up and knocks our first player out of the tournament. I'll see you there.